Okay, thank you everyone for coming here. I hope you enjoy this session. I just want to tell you that it's going to be very dynamic because we have only 30 minutes. For the original version, I usually do 3 demonstrations of the 3 techniques. But let's see if we have time for all 3 demonstrations because they usually take some time. So the presentation is about the 3 techniques that can help you have a successful coaching session. I want to first do a check. How many of you are doing actively doing coaching at the moment? Nice. Okay. How many are still learning about coaching? Okay, good amount. So the techniques would be useful to everyone. Check them, and with the time you will learn more. But remember them and try to practice them. You can practice them with everyone. So every coach needs to have good communication skills, right? So the way I would start is introducing you shortly to NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And the methodology we are taking from it is a specific communication model that they have described very well that would help you understand how we communicate as human beings. So as you see, this is a short description of NLP. Neuro is the way we use our senses to understand the world around us. This is the 5 senses. I'll speak about them in a minute. Linguistic is the way we communicate with words, with our voices, how we translate our thoughts into words. And programming is the resultant behavior of all memories we have that are connected with thinking patterns, things we've learned from other people resulting in behaviors. This is our response to the world, to the external environment. So this is a very short description of the neuro-linguistic programming. This is knowledge on how our brain works and how we work as human beings. So very shortly, a well-trained coach has complete awareness of all those 6 things. And today we are going to put more focus on the words we use, some questions we ask to get specific information, and how we structure our language. The NLP communication model, so this is an image you can find in any internet. I mean, if you type the NLP communication model, you will find that easily. So if you want to take photos, if you want, just search the internet for it. So the 5 senses, which are they? Do you know? Someone? Can you guess? Smell, yes. Eyes, our visuals. Yes, listening, sounds. Touching and taste. Exactly. That's how we experience the world around us. So what is an external event? Everything that happens in the external environment. It could be a coaching session, it could be a discussion with someone we just met, anything that happens around us. So you receive that information, your brain filters it, processes it in many ways, and then we store it as memories. So each memory consists of an image, a sound, and a kinesthetic representation system. So this is the representation systems. Kinesthetic is the feelings, the emotions. So that's how it works. We gather information, we filter it, we process it, we store it, and then this results as a behavior, our response to the environment. So that's how our brain works, and that's how we communicate. This is the response based on everything we saw, heard, or felt once in our life. So connected to this is how this storage of memory works. It's like an iceberg. So you have the surface, which is very visible and very easily accessible. And you have the underwater part, which is a little bit difficult to access, right? So you need some effort to dive deep and search for all the things that are stored underwater. So this is also an image you can find very easily in internet if you need it later on. So surface is things we can answer very quickly, like, does someone want to volunteer for a question?
It's an easy one.
Yes? What is your name?
Anna.
Okay, that was an easy one. This is in the 5%, that information we probably say every day. So, a question from the deep. So, what was your favorite t-shirt as a kid?
Oh my god.
So she's filtering now.
I can't remember it.
So the usual response you would get is, I can't remember, I don't know. So you need to provoke that person with a question and give him time to think. Because like this underwater part is like a big room of drawers, and in each drawer you are storing a lot of information. So you need the right keyword to help you locate that drawer, open it, and get the information out of it. So a lot of times we need the right question and some time to think, because our brain is working like an SQL script. How many of you are technical? Knows what SQL is? So you just write the request and it starts searching a lot of tables of information. So that's how our brain works. And the last thing you should take in mind when you're communicating and you want to master communication is that you should always improve into the 3 levels of listening. So while you're taking in mind how the brain works and what's happening in the coach's head, how he's processing information, you need to be mastering those 3 levels. The internal listening, like how I'm feeling, how the words of the coachee are impacting me, and how to be neutral, because coaching requires to be neutral, how I can be focusedly listening, and the global listening is very important, because the environment impacts the thought-provoking process. So maybe while I ask her, she is kind of stressed that there are like 30 people listening to her and maybe looking at her, and she's hearing the sounds from the other room, and maybe she's hearing sounds from outside that distracts her. So the thought-provoking process could be very easily impacted by the environment in which we are. So choose carefully where you're having your coaching sessions. So the first technique. Right now we are getting into the techniques. We have 20 minutes. Sorry, I try to be fast because this usually requires more time. The first technique is to be able to identify the patterns every person has. Each one of us has them. We call them patterns for success and for failure, or also we call them strategies. So every person in this room has his own strategy for success. How do I succeed in anything I do? And how do I fail in anything I do? So usually here I do a demonstration. Quickly, so patterns usually are related to actions, behaviors, and they rely on something very deep, into the deep waters, is our beliefs and attitudes. So when you work with this technique, do not ask the question why. Do you know why you don't ask the question why? Someone?
Make a feeling like guilty or
Yes.
or punishment or anything.
Yep.
It's a bad feeling.
Yeah, so when you ask why, you're extracting only beliefs, and beliefs could be connected with, how do you call it, moral systems, with religion, with things that we deeply believe, and if someone asks us a question that could be in conflict with that, we can very easily break the trust with the client or the coachee. So be careful when you ask why, because you're going to get a belief. And if you don't agree with that belief or you challenge it, it's very easy to break the trust with the client. So listening for patterns. There's a place where you definitely should, this is a very popular saying, fix the person, not the problem. Focus the person on himself and his patterns instead of trying to help him fix the situation he's in, which can impact other people, of course. So look for patterns. We usually repeat them every time when we go to buy shoes, when I want to make a presentation, when I want to learn a new thing, when I want to do anything. I have a pattern for how to succeed, and then I have a pattern how to fail. Usually we follow them unconsciously, and then we ask ourselves, oh, how I did that, I succeeded in this, and then, oh my god, what I did wrong, why I failed. But we never ask ourselves, what were the steps you take to end up here? Usually we repeat the same steps. Just a second. From this slide, I want to focus on the last box with the question, how do you decide something? Usually when we are talking about strategy or pattern, everything comes back to how you're deciding on something. How do you take decisions? And this is the powerful question here. How do you decide something, to do something? And the person would give you the answer, and then he would realize what's the answer for him. So usually here it's very easy to do a quick coaching session. Also, this is a bit more deep topic, but it's very easy if you train yourself in NLP, is when someone is speaking to identify the so-called nominalization words, like I want to be confident, or I want to be more successful, or I want to do more, or I want to be more happy. So then you immediately ask, how do you decide something, or how do you decide how to be happy, or how are you happy usually? So you bring back the person to remember usually the last time he did something the same way. I'm going to move to the next one, if it allows me. You can check that. Anyway, we can do the demonstration now while he's solving something with the iPad. So who wants to do a demonstration now? And extract a successful strategy for him? The topic could be, how can I buy shoes that are comfortable for me? For example. Okay. Do we have a second microphone, or do you hear us like this?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like to understand about? Do you want to find a successful strategy for you, or failure strategy?
Failure.
Okay. So when was the last time you failed in something?
I failed in something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did online shopping and I missed size. So I bought something from USA. It came in, it is too big for me, and now I cannot sell it, I cannot wear it.
Okay.
So it's in the storage just. So it's lost money of me, lost time also because I wanted this for me. So I don't have it to wear, and also I don't have money.
Okay. So
I cannot return it because it's too high expenses to return it to the USA.
okay. So have you ever had a successful purchases?
Yeah,
Okay. What did you do to have a successful purchase?
I usually do size mapping, the size guides, and try to measure by centimeter. Sometimes it fits, sometimes does not. It was second one for now.
Okay. And what can you do in the future to make sure that you're still having successful purchases?
I do not know. The only strategy that I know is to look more in reviews. If there is written something that it goes large or goes small, or the same size guiding to match with the different models and with the centimeter size. If
Okay.
it is
Or by
true or
locally.
not.
Or by locally.
Or weighted model.
Let's
What
keep
was
her
it?
ways of
Right, and then
purchasing. So, what will happen next time if you don't check the sizing?
What happens?
What can happen if you don't check the sizing?
Same.
Same. Do you want it to happen?
No.
Okay, so what can you do so your next purchase is successful?
So what was suggested? Go locally, fit.
Okay, ignore for a moment the suggestions. You already answered. She also answered it twice. She needs to check sizing.
Yeah.
She doesn't. She should not ignore it. So this is her pattern.
I'm ignoring
Okay.
it.
You are. So this is her pattern. When she is shopping online, one of the steps is always to check the sizing, right? And if we try to make it more general, and probably if we continue the discussion with her, we probably will see that she repeats that same strategy with other things. So,
For other things as well?
yes,
Like to say that I am ignoring some factors, yeah?
related to extracting looking for important information that can help you take a better decision to buy or not to buy, right? So, of course, if she's doing tomorrow a presentation for something, she's not going to look for a sizing table clothes, right? But she probably will need to check some kind of details to put into that presentation to make sure she's doing a good presentation. So this is the decision what to do to be sure I'm going into the successful path. Because her failure pattern is to ignore those details, right? So this is her steps, and every one of you has the same steps. Sometimes when you ignore one step, you fail immediately. So this is not so hard to do it alone. Try it with easy topics like buying shoes, buying clothes, buying car, buying whatever, and see what are the steps you're doing when your purchase was successful, you liked it, it was the right thing, you used it for a long time, you were happy with the purchase, and did it with something you at the end, after the purchase, you were not happy with. And you see probably what you missed a step. Okay, any questions on that demonstration? Okay, I hope it was understandable.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
cool, thank you. Is it working?
Should be. Should be.
Okay, no worries. So we are going to the next technique.
It is.
Okay, this need probably. So you're going to receive the presentation as far as I know, so you would be able to see the questions. It might be difficult for you to find them on the internet, so I will make sure you receive the presentation. All of those questions could be used to ask a person to extract his strategies and help him understand where he's failing. Like, how do you do something? How do you decide something? When was the last time you did something successfully? When was the last time you did fail in something? And ask them to describe you the exact steps they followed. So they can compare the success with failure and see why they're failing. And always you can ask them, is there any new step you want to add into this action list of steps you're taking? Because sometimes people want to improve, right? Maybe she added the step of going to a local shopping thing to minimize the risk of wrong size. Technique 2 is the power of silence. This is a quick one. So, does someone know why silence should be something we should feel very comfortable with? And silence is powerful in a coaching session?
Let's the other person think.
Yes, exactly. So I showed you how the brain works, right? If I ask her 5 questions, one after another, do you think she will be able to answer me? No?
Depends on the questions.
Or-
Maybe only on the first one or the
Yeah, right? She might answer only the first, maybe the second, and then the third would be totally distracting her SQL query.
Yeah.
Would be breaking the SQL query in her brain. So the thought-provoking process will be disrupted. So ask one question at a time and do not form 2 questions in one sentence, because the person would always answer the second part of the question. So only form one question, and after you ask it, wait for the person to think. Sometimes people are difficult to read. They might be very stone-faced, no emotions. So you might feel uncomfortable and feel the need to ask a second question, but don't. Wait for them to respond. I mean, they would respond when they're ready. Because there are 2 things we have. We have internal focus and external focus. External focus is now when I'm speaking to you, and the internal focus is when I'm thinking. And you will recognize it when I'm having this dreamy look in my eyes, like I'm thinking about something, right? So the technique here is the eye accessing pattern. How many of you have seen it? 1. Okay, that's good progress too. So this is something again you can find in internet. And it works with everyone. It might be the opposite with persons that have the left and right side of the brain swiped during birth. But it always works. So our eyes shows us what kind of information we are accessing. Is it an image, is it a sound, or it's a feeling? So you would know. Sometimes people would not tell you what they're seeing or hearing or feeling. They would give you an answer. They might speak for 20 minutes, but they're not going to describe you the image they're seeing. And it's very powerful when you ask them, what's the thing you're seeing in your head now? So they can describe you an image that can immediately give them an answer back. Or maybe hit something very important that they haven't acknowledged in the session. So when you know that they're looking up to the right, it's remembering an image. So you will know they're remembering something and they're seeing the image. And when it's up left, they're constructing a new image. So on the image you see that it's also slash line. So it's not so easy. It's not every time someone looks upright he's lying. It needs time to get used to reading the eyes to know when someone is lying, because it's not only the eyes, but it's the way someone is speaking, his tone, his speed of voice. When people lie, something in their face or voice changes, and then you can see the eyes moving to that direction because they're constructing something totally new that they have never remembered. So the auditory, right is remembering, left is constructing, and when you look down to the left is you're feeling something, you're recalling an emotion. So it's the right time to tell them, how do you feel? Or how does that make you feel? So they tell you. So it's about tell me more, but asked in another way. And focusing them on the right thing they're feeling at the moment. And then having our internal dialogues. When you look down to the right, you're talking to yourself. So if you see that, don't interrupt that person. He's having a good conversation with himself. Give him or her time. So, yeah?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
We had a 50-minute coaching session before this presentation, and I want to ask you something. How do you think, how was I feeling at this moment based on this?
I don't know what was the feeling, but I don't know the exact feeling, but I know when you were feeling something, and then I recognized through your words. Yeah. Maybe you were confused in the beginning, then you come to the realization what's the answer, yeah. Then you felt happy, yeah. Then you started to feel confident, And then at the end you
It
were,
works.
and then at the end you were satisfied, right? Because you got what you wanted. So I usually do demonstration on this, but you can find it anywhere on the internet, and you can try it with any friend. Just ask them the question to remember something from the past, and you have to be quick because some people move their eyes very quickly. Very quickly. And if you want to try them how they construct new things, just ask them something strange, like imagine a witch with a dragon voice that have drunken fight kills. So you will see everyone would move their eyes to the auditory or visual. But in coaching, this helps you to understand what the person is thinking, and also it helps you to know when to stay silent.
Sorry, can I have a question?
Yes?
So there's something also about lying. If person, I don't remember, looks somewhere, then he's lying and it's his
Yes,
to
but
remembering or...
the eyes are not enough. Like I said, it's not enough. He would be constantly looking up left. That's left, right? So up left, and if his voice is not usual, let's say someone speaks very fast, but suddenly he looks up left and he speaks a bit slower, and his voice is changed, and maybe he's doing some mimic, maybe lifting his eyebrow or touching his nose or doing something unusual, maybe he's lying. So there are a lot of factors that can show you, read someone. Even this can help you to know if the coach is sincere with you, if they're being honest, or they're trying to escape a question and give you something so you're happy and ask another question and change the topic. So it could be helpful in that way too. So no time to demonstrate it, sorry, but don't feel awkward in silence. Learn to be comfortable in it, and even the person needs 2 or 3 minutes, give it to them. Even sometimes ask them to stand and walk and come back. And the last technique is about influencing people. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, but a lot of people in the world have a bit negative association with Neuro-Linguistic Programming because it's been promoted in a way that you can manipulate people. Right? So the truth is that we every day manipulate people without knowing this. Like, I would suggest you right now to think about an apple.
About what?
Apple.
Apple?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Apple? What apple? So how many of you imagined an apple, a green apple to eat, a MacBook, the Newton law? What?
A lot of things.
A lot of things, right? But you imagined it, right? So this was influence, this was manipulation to think about this. So every day we do it unconsciously by suggesting things to others. What NLP teaches you is how to do that consciously, and always teaches you how to do it in good manner. Not to do bad things, but do it in a good manner. Because in coaching you can do positive influence, and those probably who have more experience with coaching knows that at some point of time you can do affirmations with your coachee. Let's say he lacks a lot of confidence, you can tell him, I know that you can be very confident in that situation, and I'm sure you're going to do it very well. So this is absolute manipulation, but in a good way. Right? And believe me, anyone can feel it when someone is manipulating him in a bad way.
Yeah.
So don't feel like someone will come and brainwash you and make you do something you don't want. Everything you did is because you agreed to it.
Yeah.
So this relates to parrot and paraphrasing. How many of you have heard about these techniques? Parrot and paraphrasing? You? Okay. So it's good to do it in coaching for affirmations and for positive influence, bringing more confidence to a person, encouraging him to do something he's trying or whatever, by doing para and paraphrasing. So if someone says, I lack of confidence, the key word is confidence. Always repeat what people have said to you. This is the paraphrasing. because this word has a special association in their brain, and it has special connections to positive emotions or negative emotions. So it's very important to repeat the same words and not paraphrase them, because you might lose the connection and break that connection with them, and lose the momentum of coaching. And you can get to a pretty negative situation where they start disagreeing with you. Like, that's not what I mean. Why are you putting words in my mouth and so on? So be careful with association and assumptions. Every time, like apple. I mean, I meant an apple to eat, not a MacBook. But some of you thought about the laptop or something else, right? So we have to be careful with the words we pick and use. Okay, so there was supposed to be a demonstration on this, but we don't have time. And I think it was also enough as a technique to try it out with people, like be careful what you're saying and experiment structuring your sentences in a way that people will not assume too much in the wrong way, right? So, short example is me asking you, giving you the ability to choose what to drink, or telling you, do you want to drink tea? How many of you don't like tea? Or have different associations with that word? And you, let's say you've been telling me you're thirsty. So I'm assuming you want tea, but you might be just wanting water, right? So be careful how you structure your sentences, and maybe from today you could be more mindful how you speak to others. Okay? So you'll get the presentation, you'll check the next slides, and I hope it was interesting to you, and today you learned something new. Thank you.